Our chief guest and keynote speaker of today's session is Mr. Hussain Fakhruddin, CEO CTO at Teksmobile. Mr. Hussain is a technologist. He converts ideas into building next generation web apps, mobile apps, API services around the web, smartphones, tablets, and embedded devices. He runs an award winning multinational company having offices in Australia, Sweden, and India. Over the past 15 years, he has built a super strong team focused on high quality web applications and mobile app solutions across the globe. He has created over 1,500 applications. Mr. Hussain has won several prestigious awards from Adobe GMASA with many of applications on the top of the store with highest reviews. He provides highly scalable backend tech solutions which primarily includes AWS, APIG, Google Cloud, Firebase. He helps his clients determine which platform, user interface, layout, and the best approach in developing a mobile and enterprise applications. He's also a digital evangelist and has either participated or spoken in conferences such as Nordic API's Conference, Stockholm, StarCon, Australia, Mobile World Congress, Barcelona, and many more. His team has proven history of world-class quality of delivery in a high-pressure production environment. It is great to have you, sir, in our midst. We welcome you, sir, wholeheartedly and thank you for joining us today. I request you to express your words as a chief guest for our FDP. Please, sir.
Hello and good morning to everybody. So thank you, Priyanka, for the lovely introduction. And what I'll do is I'll just quickly share my screen and I have a small little presentation for everybody. And let's start from there. So this is the agenda that I would be talking about. So who am I? My technical journey, top failures, top startups, top AI ML projects that we've executed, my learnings and questions. So here we go. So who am I? So I'm a technological entrepreneur for over 15 years. I call myself as a startup starter because I'm somebody who helps startup to actually start up. So when a startup has an idea and they come to us, they present the idea, we help them get started. We've executed over 1,500 tech projects with my team over the last 15 years. And we probably do anything in technology. So any new technology that comes in, we try to do proof of concepts, we try to do the research around it, and then we build a prototype, and then that's how startups work. So I started my first company when I was 18. Yes, it was pretty early when I started. And I've done 10 plus startups personally, including a non-tech startup on milk farming. And in those startups, many of them failed and only a few succeeded. So failures are not failures. They are, I would call them as a learning. But yes, obviously we had to shut down a few and it's a part and parcel of life. So we'll talk about that in a moment. So this is my technological journey. So I started this company called Teksmobile in 2006. And we did a lot of Java related projects because Java was a very hot technology over there. Then in 2008, 2009, iPhone, Android mobiles came in. Steve Jobs announced iPhone, and that was a game changer. So people could do a lot of things on their handheld devices. So we started a team for iOS and Android development. Then we started extending service to international clients in 2010, even before we were doing, but not fully. By 2013, we had done almost about 600 applications. And then in 2014, we started our first international branch, which was in Australia. After that, 2015, we launched in Sweden. 2017, we launched in South Korea. 2019, we also, our app count reached to about 1,300. And at the moment, we have about 1,500 applications that we have put on store. And there are a variety of applications, different quality, different technology and stuff like that. I'll talk about that in a moment. As of 2020, we are also in UK. We've expanded our base into the UK. And this was part of my technological journey so far. Then I would talk about some of my failures in startups. So I started a startup in 2001, 2003, somewhere around that. It was called Icon Indian Kids Online. It was an online coupon system for kids, packed with gaming and all that platform. So the market was too early, and we kind of did not, it was a failure. We did not get enough kids to be online at those times. If it was right now, I mean, it would have been a very big success. So in 2007, we started another project called Spry Forms. It was a drag and drop form builder which could collect, where you could build a dynamic database, and you could create a platform where you can build forms, and just like how you would do right now for Google Forms. But it was an enterprise product, but then it did not kick off as expected. In 2010, I started another platform called App for Event, and it was too early for the market, and again, it was a failure. In 2016, we started another project called Little Champs. Little Champs is an online edu gaming platform for kids, and we still, I wouldn't call it a failure, but yes, we did something that we are kind of wouldn't call it a success, but we are still kind of moving forward with the marketing and stuff like that. We're still building on the platform. And in 2018, I ventured into something non-technical. I ventured into dairy farming, which is called Smart White Gold Smart Dairy Farming. It was dairy farming with a little bit of technology side. We had a little bit of automations and data science, collecting data from the buffaloes and stuff like that. So it was quite interesting. We did it for 2 years, and then we called it, we kind of shut it down because it was too much. But now I would like to talk about top startups. The top startups that I have done so far is, there's one startup called Storytime for Kids. It was an interactive storytelling storytelling books for kids. And then these books were kind of interactive. And this has won several awards. It has got over 1 million downloads and so many users. It was a huge success. We got a lot of award, even from I think Meghalaya government appreciated our application. And there was one startup which I talked about before, which was App for Event over here. So this startup was, I would call it as a failure, but then what happened is the markets changed, and then we launched a similar platform called Eventify. Now, Eventify is an event management platform. We've also recreated kind of that platform again because the markets were open. And this platform has also won several things, including a Google Startup Award credit for over $100,000, and it's doing very well at the moment. So these are the top startups. Talking about awards, coming to the awards, we've won several awards. We've won our Storytime application as well, GMSA award. Then there was another client application which has won the Talent Rising 2014 award, which was, the application was stopover. The award was from Richard Branson. Then we've got Storytime has won another award called the Adobe Design Achievement Award. And then there is another M Billion in South Asia Award, again for Storytime. There's another client application of ours called Hello Mind, which is a healthcare application for mental health that has got UCSF Digital Award, which is kind of a very prestigious award in the best mental health company category. So these are kind of awards that we have won in the last 15 years. Now talking about the top ML and AI projects, because this conference is about data science and ML and AI. So we've executed a project called B-Scanning. We've executed a project called B-Scanning. Now what this practical application is, that it scans bees from your hives. Okay, so you can point your camera and then you can scan the bees. Now what happens is when you scan it, it kind of detects what are the diseases or termites associated on the bees. So you would scan with a very high resolution from your phone, because nowadays phone cameras have got a very high resolution. And then on the back end, what it does is it uploads these photographs, and then it maps to relevant photographs which are it kind of does an AI ML processing at the back end, which identifies termites and insects which are associated, or some kind of diseases which are associated with the bees. This application is already live on the App Store and Play Store. If somebody is interested, they can go ahead and try it out on a trial basis. And you can probably get an image from the internet, and you can try it out. It's a very cool application for the people who are having bees, because it is very difficult to identify small termites which have, or small kind of fungus on the bees. So this application helps bee farmers a lot. And then talking about the technical side, there's a lot of data processing and image processing that happens on the back end. We are using TensorFlow, we are using Python scripts and all that scripts and in the back end. So a lot of the front end application looks very neat and clean, and it just kind of takes the scan and gives you the results. But on the back end, there is a lot of processing. So this is one across the globe. It has won about 15 international awards. It has got government funding from Sweden, because this is done for one of our clients in Sweden. And yes, it's a very successful practical application on AI and ML. Talking about another application that we have over here is called NOLB. NOLB stands for No Language Barrier Instrument. Now, this is an application where it looks similar to Google Translate, but it's a little bit different, where you can do, in Google Translate, you could probably give it a text and then it translates to you. So it's kind of a mono application where you would be able to, get the translation for yourself. But this application is something that you will be able to talk to your colleague on the application, and then it would kind of translate the conversations. Again, there is a lot of back-end machine learning that goes in this application. What we are adding right now is a pretty interesting thing, is that you would be able to call somebody, and then you would be able to specify that I am talking in, let's say, for example, Hindi, and the other person talks in English. So what I would do is I would continue talking in Hindi, and the other person on the phone would get translated version of the conversation in English. And then they would reply in English, and I would hear the conversation again back in Hindi. So this is what we are working on. We've built the prototype. Again, there's a lot of data processing. The challenge over here is processing the data in real time. So if you've done some AI ML projects, it takes a little while to do the processing and stuff like that. But the challenge over here was we have to do the data processing in real time. So it's not just one challenge of just translating the data, but the challenge over here was doing it in a very short span of time. So obviously there is a transmission delay. So when you talk on phone, you would get probably a second of delay as if it was a satellite call. But again, that's probably acceptable, because you know that there's something happening and you would probably wait. So where is this application being used? This application is being used in healthcare in Sweden, where a lot of refugees have come in from various countries, especially from the Gulf region, from Syria and Afghanistan, where refugees have migrated to European countries. They are unable to get healthcare because they are unable to communicate to the doctors in those countries. So it's the whole project was individualized around this, and now there are a lot of possibilities, practical possibilities of this project being used elsewhere as well. So think of anything. I mean, you just want to make a new friend in Europe, and they don't know English and you don't know their language. So you would be able to do and chat with that. So we are coming up with that. These are a couple of interesting projects that we've done. So far in my journey, what I've learned is, you should never be afraid to start something new. You should never be afraid. So be it, at any age that you like, even if you are at a very young age, or if you are a very old age, I mean, not old age, but if you are a very mature age, you should never be afraid of starting something new. You should always take risks. Yes, you would take calculated risks, but take those risks. Failure is learning. Failure is never a failure. Failure is always part of learning. You learn, you get experience out of your failures, and they are good. You learn something so that you don't make mistakes when when the real success comes in. What I've also learned is you should innovate or be inspired to innovate. You should never, let yourself feel that you cannot innovate, because there's always room for new things to come in. Just when we thought that technology has reached its peak, but no, every time something or the other comes in. Yes, we should also smart work. People say work smart, not hard, or something like that. But yes, I believe that we should work smart along with hard work. The hard work should be, you should be very, very passionate in whatever you're doing. And lastly, what I would say is do not quit easily. Good things take time. You should just build on. You should not quit. So if something's not working for a couple of years or something, and if your idea is very good, and if you've worked really hard, and if you think there's a market for it, yes, do not quit. There are certain times when you feel, yes, this is enough, but then you have to, keep going for some time. There's always a very thin line between when you want to quit and, you have already quit. So you should know when you are really, in a mood to close off your things. But yes, failures are a learning. Again, I would iterate. And then with this, I would like the audience to ask a few questions regarding whatever questions they have, and go ahead. So if anybody has any questions they would like to ask.
Hello, I would like to ask a question. Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, my question is now, as you said, now the processing is the main part, which is making our ideas not that successful. So I was thinking that according to you, when would our hardware reach the capabilities that the processing could be done for any ideas that we have?
So what you can do is you can break the processing into two parts. Did I understand your question correctly? That how do you want ideas on breaking down the hardware structure for making the processing easier? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you can do is you can break the processing into different parts. Okay. So what you can do is, as I'll give you a very practical example. I think Priyanka is using an AI ML right now while she is speaking. She's using a background which is, in real time via your laptop or your desktop application is changing her background. So that is not a server-side processing. It's a client-side processing. Nowadays, clients have become very smart in terms of, they've got a lot of RAM and a lot of processing power. So what you can do is you can plan your application in a smart way where you would do the processing not just server side, you would also do it at the client side, so that the servers can process the data efficiently. So many times you could, another example would be I'm using a software where it cuts down all the background noise of whatever I'm speaking. So you wouldn't hear, if I'm kind of clapping or something in the background, you wouldn't know. So that is not a server-side processing. It's a real-time client-side on the browser or on the laptop processing. So did I answer you correctly?
Yeah, thanks.
Yes, sir. Hussain sir, there are so many questions, but there are many participants who are joining on YouTube Live. So with your permission, can I pick some questions for you?
Yes, please.
Okay, sir. So what are the key points you will suggest we must focus on for students who opt for being an entrepreneur in this field?
Okay, so as a student, I was also a student many years ago. And as I told you, I started my first startup when I was 18 years old. So at that time I was studying just out of school, and I was just starting my college and stuff. So the thing what I said is never be afraid. If you've got an idea, so start building on your own. Build your prototype. You don't have to spend money on that. If you are an educated person and if you're building a technology, you can go online, you can do some course, you can talk to a few faculty members, you can do the project. If that project has potential, obviously you would require some help from your seniors. So starting is the important thing. You just have to make that start, that very little step that you need to take in order to build your prototype. Then things will, follow up as it flows. You build the prototype, then you add more features to it, then somebody gives you a certain suggestion, and then it's a kind of a community building that you would do on your product. So it may not be a product, it could be just a simple script that you have written in Python or C or whatever, and you could have just simply even if it is not something that would sell in the market, it's always good to do something which is something like open source, or you get a lot of learning from that at a very young age. And who knows, if your learning is very good, and if you've done, like, for example, I would say Facebook founder, he was just making this platform in his university, and then it has kicked off. So just do it. I mean, just go ahead, and you have the tools within you. You have your brains, you have your computer. It doesn't require any substantial hardware to do a lot of things. Yes, obviously, when you are doing something like quantum computing or something, then you require hardware. But then even if you want to do quantum computing, there are a lot of companies like IBM who are giving free quantum computing hours where you can process your data, a huge amount of data, big data queries, and all that you can process. So technology is not the limitation. We have to change our attitude and our mindset that yes, we want to get it done. So that's what I would say.
Thank you so much, sir. So you started Teksmobile in 2006 when the smartphones were still sort of a myth in India. So it shows you see a lot of ahead in a future. So what would you suggest is a specialization in AI that would bloom to a must in a near future?
Okay, so in terms of, I wouldn't say what technology or what programming language or something like that, because they keep changing. But what is the future? What is more promising is something which is problem solving. So think of solving problems first, okay, not of building something. So if you are not solving certain problem, then you are just building. So I would say pick up a problem in the real life situation. For example, in our Nolby project, there was a problem where people weren't able to communicate, even though Google Translate was present. But there was a problem where they weren't able to communicate. So that is a problem. Especially in India, there are so many problems that we have. So pick up any problem and build a data model around it. And that's how that's a starter for you. So it's not about which technology to choose, which platform to choose. All that is secondary, because when you build prototype, it is not, when you come to the end product, you will iterate at least 2 or 3 times in order to make your code more efficient, make your platform more efficient. Any startups that I have seen have rebuilt their platform for at least 2 or 3 times over a period of 4 to 10 years. Because at first, when they started the startup, they did not have the technical experience and they did not have the tools. So they just started with whatever they knew. But once they started getting funding or more customers, they've kind of expanded into a better technology. So technology is not a barrier, I would say. Just go ahead and find a problem and solve it.
Thank you so much, sir, your answers. So your technological journey is remarkable. And you share with us your top gains and your top failure also. And that definitely remarkable. So your work and projects and thoughts are really encouraging to us. Over to you, Priyanka, ma'am.
Thank you, Suresh, sir. Thank you, Hussain, sir. Indeed, it was a session filled with information. Now, I would request Professor Suresh Mistry, sir, to propose vote of thanks. Please, sir.
Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you so much, sir. I express my gratitude for honoring me to propose the vote of thanks. I, on behalf of Institute and Department of Computer Engineering, Organizing Committee of Online Faculty Development Program, would like to extend a very hearty vote of thanks to the Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Hussain Fakhruddin, who graced the event with their presence and giving us their valuable time out of their busy schedule. And also to all the participants from the various colleges, resource person, head of all departments, faculty members, exam cell in charges, TNP cell, and students for attending this inaugural function and letting a patient hearing.